It started with a signal, a low rhythmic pulse picked up by a satellite array nestled deep in the mountains of an isolated observatory. Dr. Lena Kovacs, lead astrophysicist at the facility, was the first to notice. The observatory had been scanning deep space for years, looking for any unusual patterns or signals, but everything had been routine until now. She leaned closer to the console, frowning at the faint, repetitive blips. It wasn't static, and it wasn't interference. It was deliberate. "What do you make of this?" Lena called over her assistant, Mike. He peered at the monitor, the pulse reflected in the dim glow of the screen. "It's regular, like a heartbeat," he muttered. "But it's not from any known source, no satellites or celestial bodies in that region." Lena's heart raced. There had been rumors among the scientific community about the Watchers, a supposed extraterrestrial intelligence watching humanity for centuries. Most dismissed it as a conspiracy theory, but for a handful of believers, the legend persisted. "We need to trace this," Lena said quietly, a sense of foreboding settling over her. The following day, the signal's origin was triangulated not from the stars but from somewhere on Earth. They were stunned. It wasn't coming from deep space but from a remote, desolate region deep in Siberia. How could a signal that felt so alien, so ancient, be coming from Earth? Lena and her team were soon on a helicopter heading toward the coordinates. The area was known for nothing. No towns, no infrastructure, just frozen tundra. The Russian government had been reluctant to grant access, but with the right channels pulled, Lena had secured a permit. As they flew over the frozen landscape, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were heading into something far more dangerous than they could understand. After hours of flying, the helicopter touched down on a wide, barren stretch of snow. The signal was strongest here, but the environment was cold, desolate, lifeless. Mike set up equipment to continue tracking it, while Lena scanned the horizon, her breath visible in the frigid air. "There!" Mike shouted, pointing toward a distant black spire. It was barely visible, jutting out of the ground like a needle, stark against the white expanse. It didn't match any geological features, and certainly didn't look man-made. Lena felt her heart pound as they trudged through the snow. The object grew larger as they approached, eventually towering over them, a sleek, dark monolith, impossibly smooth, unlike any material they had ever seen. "Has this always been here?" Mike whispered, awe and fear in his voice. "No records of anything like this," Lena replied, feeling the hairs on the back of her neck stand up, "but it's buried deep. Could have been here for millennia." They circled the structure, looking for any signs of an entrance, but found none. The surface was cold and unyielding, yet the signal was emanating from deep within. Whatever this was, it wasn't from Earth. Suddenly a low hum filled the air. Lena stepped back, watching in horror as the surface of the monolith shimmered, then began to shift. Patterns emerged, deep grooves like runes glowing faintly in the dusk light. The hum grew louder, vibrating through the ground. Mike stumbled back, clutching his ears. "It's reacting to us," Lena realized, backing away. As night fell, the temperature dropped further, but the hum from the monolith grew louder, almost unbearable. Mike set up a tent nearby, but Lena couldn't sleep. She stared at the shifting patterns on the monolith, entranced and unnerved. In the early hours, she noticed something strange. The sky. The stars overhead seemed wrong. Subtly, imperceptibly at first, they shifted and blinked out, as though some unseen force was blotting them out. Mike stirred, groggy from sleep. "Lena, something's happening." A sudden burst of light from the monolith illuminated the snow around them. It wasn't blinding, but cold, harsh, like a long-forgotten memory clawing its way to the surface. Lena stepped closer, her breath shallow. "It's not a signal," she whispered. "It's a message." The light flared brighter, and then they saw it. Shapes moving within the light, tall, thin figures, almost humanoid but distorted, like reflections in warped glass. They were not physical, yet they were there, watching, waiting. Their eyes, empty voids, seemed to lock onto Lena and Mike. "We need to go," Mike said, panic rising in his voice. "Now!" But Lena couldn't move. The figures were speaking now, not in words but in feelings, dread, despair, and an overwhelming sense of inevitability. She realized what they were. The monolith began to hum louder, vibrating the very air around them. Lena stumbled back, her heart pounding in her chest, but it was too late. The ground beneath them cracked open, the snow melting away as dark tendrils of shadow stretched out from the monolith, wrapping themselves around her legs, her arms, pulling her toward the black void inside. Mike screamed, scrambling to get away, but the tendrils found him too. They were being drawn into the monolith, their bodies consumed by the shadows, absorbed into the structure as if they were never there. The cold tendrils dug deep into their minds, erasing everything they had been. In the last moments of consciousness, Lena saw it clearly. The earth, the stars, the watchers standing at the edge of everything. They had been there for so long, silent and patient, waiting. But Lena and Mike weren't the first, nor would they be the last. The monolith wasn't their creation, it was their door. As Lena's vision blurred into darkness, she realized that the world would never know. The Watcher's experiment would continue, unnoticed by humanity, a secret hidden in plain sight. And somewhere deep within the monolith, Lena and Mike became part of the Watcher's eternal game, trapped in the darkness, their identities consumed, their minds fractured. The signal would continue, waiting for the next to come.